Thanks for joining us here on ARC Salt Lake. I'm Brian Schnee. It is Tuesday, November 25th. Tonight we're taking a look at the latest in the case against Tyler Robinson, the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. But first, an exclusive interview with a couple who was shot by a tribal officer here in Utah.
And I started screaming, "She shot my arm off, it's barely hanging here."
Were you unarmed that day?
Yes.
Yes.
Did she know you were unarmed that day?
Yes, she did.
More than 3 years ago, a couple riding a side-by-side were shot by a tribal officer while driving away. I've been following this case for years now and spoke exclusively to the couple. The officer was sentenced on 2 charges, assault with a dangerous weapon and assault resulting in serious bodily injury, both within Indian country. And now we're hearing from the couple for the first time about the shooting and the impacts this has had on their lives. On July 17th, 2022, what were you guys doing that day?
So we went on a side-by-side ride and we were just out trying to have fun and go on a scenic drive.
Chelsea and Chad were riding in Duchesne County near Uinta Canyon. It was their first date.
There's a strip of reservation land that runs through the middle of that, and we were just crossing through to the forest land.
When did you first make contact with the tribal officer?
We pulled up and noticed that there was a whole bunch of kids and their parents getting citations on the bridge. We were kind of wondering what was going on, and as we pulled up, she stopped us, and we didn't think anything of it, and she informed us that we were on tribal land and that she was going to seize our vehicle. She basically told us that we were going to have to walk back to town, which is like 10 miles away, and at that point, things escalated.
What'd you do next?
I decided to reach for my identification, and I was going to try to get out of there, and as I did that, she drew a weapon very near to me.
When she pulled her gun to his head, he pushed it away, told me to start the side-by-side, and I reached over and I did, because it's kind of a fight or flight kind of reaction, and then we took off.
Driving away from Ute Indian Tribe Fish and Wildlife Officer Juanica Cornpeach, who shot at Chelsea and Chad.
We heard several shots. Chelsea felt a bullet go through her hair, and it bounced off the crossbar of the side-by-side. I'm not sure who got shot first. She says it was me.
It was you.
I think it was her.
It was shortly after that I got shot, and it was kind of like in the movies when you hear that like ringing sound. That's like all there was.
Try not to move, bud.
And my arm fell down in my lap, and I couldn't move it anymore.
I turned around and she had a gun drawn on me still, and I got out of the side-by-side and she was ordering commands at me, and I basically just collapsed in the road right there.
Chad?
Chad, can you hear me?
I don't really remember a whole lot after that.
Neither Chad or Chelsea were armed that day. Both were shot.
I was losing a lot of blood, and I basically died in the helicopter twice, and yeah, they brought me back to life.
On November 17th of this year, 3.5 years since the shooting, Juanica Cornpeach was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison and 3 years supervised release. You still think about that day?
Every day.
Chelsea and Chad both say they have lasting nerve damage.
But my little boy, he was 5 at the time, and he asked me for months after, "Are you gonna die, Mom?" And I always had to tell him, "No, I'm not, it's okay," but it wasn't okay.
For Chelsea, it's her arm, Chad in his ribs. Why do you think she felt the need to fire her weapon that day?
In my personal opinion, I think she had a personal prejudice.
I think she was mad because she wasn't able to seize our side-by-side, and she felt like she had more power than she actually did, and she was going to use it.
Shot on their first date.
I was raised across that entire Uinta mountain range and fishing every weekend, and I basically feel like that's part of my home. When you feel like you go through that kind of situation, it takes a little bit of that away from you.
Finding love through trauma and a near-death experience, Chad and Chelsea are now married.
We are one big happy family now.
Well, to this day, it's still unclear exactly whose land the shooting took place on. The charges were within tribal lands. That's how they're worded. But the area is a mixture of tribal land, county land, and Forest Service land. And there's signage all over the place saying not to trespass in some of those boundary areas. But Chaz said he would like to see change, sort of clarifying these boundary areas or making through roads to access public lands without crossing through tribal lands. I have reached out to the Ute Indian tribe to get some more information on their side of things, where things stand right now, what they've seen in terms of trespassing on those properties, how they handle this, what they've learned from this situation, and what they'd like the public to know that either lives in this area or visits this area and wants to go into the campgrounds or the high Uintas. Attorneys for accused assassin Tyler Robinson will soon ask the judge to modify a gag order in the case, potentially barring any witnesses from talking, including political leaders who made statements early on. The defense feels the gag order should limit public statements made by federal, state, and local government officials. Some are attorneys, and Governor Spencer Cox checks both boxes. Chief Investigative Reporter Wendy Halloran tried to ask him about his remarks today. Take a look.
In a court filing, Tyler Robinson's defense team says even before Mr. Robinson's first court appearance, politicians, federal and state law enforcement officers, and the lead prosecution attorney in this case publicly offered their opinions about Mr. Robinson, the details of the investigation, including an alleged confession, and even specific items of evidence and forensic tests that have not yet been deemed admissible at trial. 2 days after the shooting, President Donald Trump said, with a high degree of certainty, we have him, and stated, I hope he is going to be found guilty, and I hope he gets the death penalty. On the same date, Robinson's defense team says Governor Spencer Cox began his press conference, quote, dramatically, with the words, we got him.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him.
And later returned to the podium to say more.
There is one person responsible for what happened here, and that person is now in custody and will be charged soon and will be held accountable.
FBI Director Kash Patel went on national television saying DNA from the towel wrapped around the firearm and screwdriver were positively processed for Robinson. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi saying Utah still has the firing squad, calling Robinson a horrible human being. I asked Governor Cox about the claims made by Tyler Robinson's defense team during the governor's monthly news conference at PBS Utah.
My colleague Natalie Wattis asked you in September the following question, quote, there's been some concerns raised about discussion of the Robinson case in national media. Are you concerned about prejudicing that case at all?
No concerns at all, none whatsoever.
You said no concerns at all, none whatsoever. Governor Cox, as a law professional yourself, respectfully, how do you reconcile those statements? Even months before the commencement of a trial, would you consider that premature?
No.
No? Second question for you, do you believe prejudicial public statements by government officials in any way jeopardize the state's ability to allow for a fair and impartial trial by comparison to other cases, other persons accused of serious crimes? And what precisely is the apparent need to offer up comments of guilt in this particular case pre-trial?
I don't have any concerns. No. Yeah.
So our recent coverage looking into surveillance video of Tyler Robinson turning himself into the Washington County Sheriff's Office after the shooting of Charlie Kirk got a lot of attention. Now, lots of you have asked to see the full documents from our record requests on that video. Our first request was on September 29th, requesting surveillance of Tyler Robinson entering the Washington County Jail, I should say, holding area and or in holding room on September 11th and 12th. The response from the Records Department said they do not have records since Robinson did not go to or enter the jail area. Our request for holding room video was denied, with the records classified protected. The justification for the denial and the info on how to appeal the denial is standard with all record requests. So this prompted us to follow up on October 21st with a new, more generalized request. I inquired for surveillance video showing Robinson walking into the Washington County Sheriff's Office on the 11th or 12th of September. The response was, quote, our office does not have any applicable records responsive to this request as the surveillance footage is no longer available after the 30-day retention period. So there were 3 documents we shared in our coverage, including those 2. The third document cannot be fully shared due to Utah Code preventing us from doing that, but I can share the text of the response. Before our coverage aired earlier this week, I followed up with the department asking if this surveillance was shared with another agency, law enforcement, or legal, and if it were shared elsewhere. The response from the records department reads as follows. It was my understanding it was never sent out to any agency. We do not have the surveillance record any longer. Our office surveillance is on a looped recording system, which automatically records over older surveillance video. Therefore, the surveillance video from September 11th, 2025 is no longer available. You can watch our full story, including reaction from an attorney that we spoke to about this exchange, specifically with the surveillance video in question. The video right now is on our KUTV YouTube page, right there on the homepage section. Coming up on Arc Salt Lake, a push for an ice rink in Utah County, the competition to get on the ice that has one parent frustrated. Does Utah County need another ice rink? One Saratoga Springs dad thinks they do. He started a petition this week. It's already gained hundreds of signatures. 2 News' Natalie Wada spoke with him and reports what the odds are of this happening.
Trevor Hawkins says Utah County needs another ice rink to meet the demands of the growing county.
Very busy. I would say it's probably one of the most busy rinks in the state and maybe even the country.
One of the biggest issues that we are seeing is there is not enough ice time.
Hawkins lives in Saratoga Springs and has 3 kids who play hockey at the Peaks Ice Arena in Provo. He says there's a lot of programming in other leagues that use the rink.
Provo Peaks Ice Arena is the only one in Utah County that sustains all of these organizations in the area.
Hawkins says he's heard from other parents and coaches. People are frustrated with not being able to get on the ice.
Right now, there's a very high demand for getting on the ice, and there's just not enough infrastructure in Utah County, specifically North Utah County.
So he started a petition to build another rink in northern Utah County to meet that demand. I went to the Peaks Ice Arena in Provo and asked how people felt about this.
I think that would be great because that would divert some of the traffic we get.
Deanna Sosa teaches skating classes here and agrees with Hawkins' view that oftentimes the rink is over capacity and groups don't get much time on the ice. She says most of her students come from northern Utah County.
It's a really great facility, but I wouldn't complain about another ice rink.
Hawkins says his next steps are to gather as many signatures as he can and present them to his city council. In Provo, Natalie Wattis, KUTV 2 News.
Well, speaking of the city, we did reach out to Saratoga Springs City today. They say have no plans right now to develop an ice rink, but are open to citizen suggestions. Back in 2022, residents voted down a measure to build a rec center over concerns that it would raise property taxes. Let's get to meteorologist Sean Kelly here with our first alert forecast. A lot of resorts right now just trying to open up, Sean. We do know now that the Brighton Resort Bone Zone will open tomorrow at noon. Bring your shovel.
Whatever it takes, right? I mean, I know a lot of the ski resorts, you've been talking about it. I know you've been posting it on social media. They're finally making snow. It is now cold enough for those resorts to make snow. We just need that natural snow and those storms to move in. Unfortunately for us, we have a pretty low chance for the weekend. At this point, just not looking significant, unfortunately, here, but it could be enough to at least change the pattern in a more favorable direction. But out ahead of it, we're looking at some pretty nice temperatures for the holiday. But yeah, 252 days and counting, the 7th longest stretch without any measurable snow here in Salt Lake City. I had actually someone posted on social media comment under my Facebook page about this. About April 1st, we did see some snow, but not officially out at the airport. So again, the stretch, 7th longest in history. We're hoping to end that with at least a little bit of light snow, if not this weekend, into next week. Look at the 0% here. The statewide snow map, not looking good for the snowpack here. 43% of average, not good here, especially for our northern mountains. Down towards the south, though, we're in pretty good shape. In fact, this was kind of flipped around from this time last year, kind of showing 2 different stories. But again, we're hoping to play catch up here. More than 60% of snow years start off this quiet, so don't worry. It's eventually going to happen. 46 degrees was the high today. That is normal for this time of year. Looking great for any of your holiday travel within the next several days. Sunday will be the day to watch, but again, right now, not looking significant. Air quality issues, we were dealing with that over the weekend for the start of the week. That has cleared out, all thanks to the cold front yesterday. But tomorrow into Thursday, we'll start to see some worsening air quality as we have that inversion kind of settling back in and collecting some of that pollution. 30s right now. It is chilly across not only the Wasatch Front, but across the state. Look at Heber, already at 29 degrees, 29 in Park City, 33 in Vernal, 47 in Moab. Dry and clear across the majority of the state. High pressure system builds back in the days ahead. Maybe a little bit cloudier tomorrow, but still really nice. Warmer conditions, but again, this will bring us that inversion, but really good here for Thanksgiving Day. Going to be really nice with temperatures into the 50s. All right, here's the first week system of our weekend. Friday evening, it's going to be clipping us, lacking moisture, and up towards the north and east. A few flurries up into the mountains, a few sprinkles here across the valley floors. Saturday looking dry, but as we get into Sunday, some of the models here are showing that we could maybe see some snow. Brian, don't get too excited here. This is just one of few that is showing snow. The majority do not show anything on Sunday. So again, a lot can and will change here in the days ahead. We're into the 30s as we head into the overnight. Tomorrow's highs into the 50s here. Thanksgiving Day forecast, again, looking really good. We're into the 50s here for highs for Thanksgiving Day with some hazy sunshine. 60s over the course of the next few days for St. George as we head into the weekend for you. You're looking at a few showers on Sunday, much colder into next week. And then across the Wasatch Front, we're into the 50s as well. Look at the big drop in the temperature. So a cool down, that is guaranteed. That snow still kind of a question mark on Sunday. Another system potentially on Tuesday. This is not looking like the best pattern, but at least it's a change from where we were at a few weeks ago. And again, the trend is not our friend right now in terms of what the models are showing for Sunday. But I'm hanging on to hope.
So I don't know if I was clapping prematurely. I was trying to like hype it up here, like see if we can get that model to stick.
We need to get your maybe get your car washed. I heard that's the way to do it. You get your car washed, and then that snow and rain.
Well, I know you're not here tomorrow. I was going to suggest perfect time for a live weather forecast at 4 o'clock from the Brighton Bone Zone.
I mean,
where they're going to be fired up. They got the shovels out there. They're building the terrain park, and it's just around the corner here, Sean.
Whatever it takes at this point.
A little magic. Thank you, Sean. Coming up here on Arc Salt Lake, can you imagine pulling over this car? That's what happened to some Utah law enforcement officers. The story behind this $1.5 million ride next. Well, if you could only have seen the emails in our newsroom floating around about this one. Imagine being an officer on patrol. You get a call about a reckless driver, and it is this vehicle. That is a $1.5 million Aston Martin prototype, so we're told. Definitely don't see those every day.
$1.5 million. The Emery County Sheriff's Office posted these photos today, saying one of their deputies and a highway patrol trooper pulled it over on I-70 near Green River.
Kind of like the Batmobile. The Sheriff's Office says the vehicle was being tested and adjusted while driving through the area, and the deputy instructed the driver on proper driving etiquette. No word if the officers got a ride or anything, but they said it was a fun experience. Also don't know if they actually cited the officer or if they were just like, hey, this thing's pretty cool. Yeah, take it easy.
Look at that.
The 2 News Salvation Army Angel Tree, presented by Cypress Credit Union and sponsored by Smith's, Whipple Service Champions, Utah Ford Stores, Balance of Nature, and Summit Sotheby's International Realty.
The holiday season is right around the corner. You can make sure Utah children and seniors have presents to open up on Christmas morning by adopting an angel from the 2 News Angel Tree.
That's right. All you have to do is go to any Cypress Credit Union or Smith's and pull a card from one of the angel trees, shop for your angel, and return new unwrapped gifts by December 12th.
That'll do it for us here on 2 News at 7 o'clock. Ark Salt Lake tomorrow night is another installment of Utah's Missing. We're hoping to speak with some families right now that are going through a tough time. They could use your help keeping an eye out for 2 vulnerable adults. So we'll share some of those conversations tomorrow night on Utah's Missing. Enjoy your couple days here, Sean.
Yeah, have a great Thanksgiving, man.
Same to you, my friend.